questions that I get actually quite often is, what is the best culinary school to go to? And there's a lot of different factors in terms of which culinary school is the best for you. What might be the best for me might not be the best for you. For instance, I chose to go to culinary school the second time, because I've been to culinary school twice. I chose to go the second time because my goals have changed. And really my goal at that time was to get a bachelor's degree so I could go on and get my master's degree in hospitality management. So I was looking for schools that offered degrees. So I went to the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. When I went back to culinary school at a much older age and having experienced it once before, I was really able to dive in and get as much knowledge as I could out of that particular program. So, what is the best culinary school for you? Some of the questions you want to ask yourself is, can I move out of state? Can I afford it to move out of state? Is there a culinary school near me, near where I live? Because quite frankly, you could save a ton of money if you stayed in your hometown and maybe had roommates or stayed with your parents until you got through culinary school. Secondly, you want to ask yourself, what is my long-term goals? Is it to get a certificate from a program so I have a nice, solid base of information that I can then translate into the industry and maybe have a year's worth of knowledge packed in so I can move up a little more quickly? Because even after you graduate culinary school, most students who graduate are going to be hired as a cook to begin with anyway. So what that translates for you is, no, I'm not going to graduate culinary school and become an executive chef at any reputable restaurant right off the bat, unless you have tons of experience before you went to culinary school. That base of information that you gathered when you went to culinary school will allow you to move forward faster over the next 6 months or a year than maybe somebody who was hired in at the same time as you without any education or any previous experience. Now, that all being said, that is all predicated on whether or not you're a hard worker, you can learn the techniques and skills that your particular chef at the time wants you to learn, how fast you're going to learn it, and how good of an employee you are to begin with. So as you're leaving culinary school, one of the things that you should know is you shouldn't be a dick, number one. You really should be open to further education. You should be open to taking criticism from the chef that you're working for, and you should know what your long-term goals are. And you really should, if you're working at a great restaurant out of culinary school, you really should probably spend a year or two at that restaurant learning everything that you can. But remember, when you're coming out of culinary school, your first 3 to 5 years are super important. So if you're coming out of culinary school and you're going to work at a chain restaurant, you're really limiting yourself to what you can do next. During your time at school, you really should be thinking about where your internship is going to be or your externship is going to be, because that's really going to give you a solid foundation of what future employers are going to look at. So if you are leaving culinary school and your externship is at some chain restaurant down the street because it's convenient next to the bus line that you have to take, you've really set yourself a low ceiling. But if you go out and you find a really innovative chef who is recognized, and you go there and you work your ass off for your 3 months or 6 month internship, depending on where you go to school, you've raised your ceiling super high, because now on your resume you can say, I worked with chef so-and-so at the 2 Michelin star restaurant, instead of I worked at Chili's down the street. Other questions that you want to ask yourself when finding the best culinary school for you is, how much can I afford? Do I really want to take on the debt of culinary school? Can I work while I'm in culinary school in order to help offset the debt? You're going to be straddled with somewhere between $500 and $1,000 worth of student loan repayment afterwards. Just realize that you're taking on debt, okay? And research how much debt you're going to take on before you actually sign up for culinary school. That's all the time we have for the Q&A this week. If you want to ask me a question for our next Q&A session, here's what you need to do. Go over to Twitter and search for me. I'm Ryan at Food Craftsman. And you can leave the question with the hashtag #AskFoodCraftsman, and I will search it out and answer your question for you. So do that. And I'd love to feature you on the next show. All right. That's all the time we have for today. Check out foodcraftsman.com. Hit me up on Twitter and say hi, or follow me on Instagram. I'm over there at foodcraftsman as well. Peace out. See you next time.